Hi people, I hope you're doing well. I am Prithav Bang. To be very honest, this show is not named as of yet. So yeah, welcome to whatever you want to call it. नाम में क्या ही रखा है. Today on the platter, we have Mr. Anmoldeep Singh. कहने को सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर है, but definitely सिर्फ सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर नहीं है. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Prithav. First of all, I hope you like this dish being on the platter. Okay, so I'm Anmoldeep Singh. I'm a software developer by profession, working on the Salesforce platform. For those who know it. And apart from that, I've been into developer communities. Has been contributing to more than 1,000 students' lives so far.
Beautiful.
And trying my best to play my part just because somebody did the same for me.
1001 students. So yeah, to start with Anmol, what do you think does education do to any particular individual in their lives? ये मैं क्यों पूछ रहा हूँ to start with. यार एजुकेशन हमने एक इरिप्लेसेबल कॉन्सेप्ट बना दिया है, एटलीस्ट इन इंडिया, कि 12th तक तो आपको पढ़ाई करनी ही है, डिग्री तो आपको लेनी ही है. तो ये जो ही है वाला कॉन्सेप्ट है, इस पे आपका क्या विचार है? ओपन स्कूलिंग पे आपका क्या विचार है? हमारे पढ़ाने के तरीके पे आपका क्या विचार?
पहली बात तो ये दैट दिस क्वेश्चन आई विश आई कुड बी एन एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर टू आंसर दिस.
He wouldn't be able to answer.
But anyways, let's not be direct
Obviously.
there. As per education system we are talking, I am one of those people or one of those students who will say that who is not ever on the same page as the education system.
Okay.
The one who is always beyond it, always asking questions why it is limiting to this point, why we are not diving deep. But over the time I've realized that it was actually meant kind of right. So if we don't really encourage this very much, but if you really look as from the perspective of what everybody should know, education system is enough for the same purpose.
Okay.
The problem and the hustle bustle that we have around here is just one, the updations happens not regularly.
Not at all.
They are 5 years, 10 years once.
Absolutely.
In that cycle, that causes a lot of pain, a lot of concepts, a lot of trend, new mandatory stuff to be learned are missed. And again, people change, world changes,
but the curriculum remains the
same. That's where the disconnect happens, and that's why the whole revolution happens.
Interestingly, the least amount of budget allocation since the very history of us making budget has been to the education sector. I believe for this very budget it has changed. जो कुछ दिन पहले आया उसमें कुछ ज्यादा allocation था, नहीं तो 0.1% of our whole budget is given to the education sector. और ये सवाल मैं क्यों पूछ रहा हूँ? डेमोग्राफिकली इंडिया में सबसे ज्यादा यूथ है, और उसके बाद भी अगर आप इस पर्टिकुलर सेक्टर में उस तरीके से इन्वेस्ट नहीं कर रहे हो, then what's the point of you using the manpower or the human resource which you?
That's actually a very interesting way to look at it. However, if we really think from like if you when you're saying that education पे सबसे कम budget है, right? Then the question pops up, किस पे सबसे ज़्यादा है?
Absolutely it does.
So if we really think from the shoes of the
why am I hearing defense? Why?
What?
Defense बोला किसी ने?
I see where it is going. But at the same time, if you really want answers, just try to fit into the shoes of who is doing it, and you'll get the answers.
True.
If we are talking about, you are thinking from one perspective that if budget doesn't allocates more money to education side, maybe education will fall. But if you just change the perspective and think from a bigger picture, if you really look at it, maybe education is not that much relevant anymore right now.
Okay.
Because education are basically in general sense of learning. Learning is kind of totally free anymore already.
True.
And
very true.
We are not dependent on education systems anymore. It's just becoming more of a formality to have that classics done.
Beautiful.
So maybe that is one of the many reasons to not allocate so much budget to that area. At the same time, if you are talking about how people will grow them, today, earlier it used to be like just 3-4 fields that we used to have. Either तू डॉक्टर बनेगा, इंजीनियर बनेगा
बनेगा
और सीए बनेगा.
मैं अर्लियर हटाना चाहूंगा इसमें से ऑडियंस अर्लियर नहीं अभी भी ऐसा ही है बट या प्लीज कंटिन्यू क्यों क्यों ऐसा बोल रहा हूँ मैं यहाँ एक इंजीनियर बैठा है एक लॉयर इंटरव्यू ले रहा है और हमारे पास पीछे 2 और इंजीनियर है जो इसका बैकवर्क कर रहे हैं तो कोई भी वैरायटी आपको एटलीस्ट यहाँ तो नहीं मिल रही है.
But at the same time, if you really want to look at the earlier wala thing, how many of these have actually becoming engineers versus
again
gonna happen?
true.
Because the avenues have opened far wide than 3.
Absolutely.
So that is probably one of the many reasons that why this is allocated this way. I'm not trying to justify. Just
I know, but you know, absolutely. I mean, देखो कोई ना कोई rational हर चीज का होता है.
ठीक है. And coming back to the same point, when you're talking about learning as a concept, तो learning का एक चीज है कि since there are so many avenues to explore, it's not possible to cover them in one curriculum.
True.
You have to find out which one you align the most with, pursue it, dive deeper, become the expert, and make a career out of it.
Crazy. Moving on to taking you from the previous question itself. What do you think does a city play a role in when it comes to growing? For example, अगर मैं अपना आपको experience दूँ, तो I completed my 12th in Nagpur itself.
ठीक है.
जिनको नहीं पता है नागपुर महाराष्ट्र श्री नितिन गडकरी. Then I went to Mumbai. I pursued my law there. और एक stark difference मैंने notice किया कल्चर में, पढ़ाने के तरीके में, लोगों में, उनके एफर्ट डालने में. तो एज एन इंडिविजुअल जिसने अपना स्कूलिंग नागपुर से किया है, अपना कॉलेज नागपुर से किया है, व्हाट हैज बीन योर एक्सपीरियंस एंड व्हाट आउटलुक डू यू हैव, और क्या सजेशंस आप देना चाहेंगे उन्हें जो शायद उस ईयर्स में ये चीज सुन रहे जिस ईयर्स में उन्हें डिसीजन लेना है.
फेयर. सो इसमें एक थोड़ा सा एलिमेंट मैं ऐड करना चाहूंगा. मैंने भले अपना स्कूलिंग कॉलेज सब कुछ नागपुर से किया है, बट it will be a big no that if I say that everything is literally just Nagpur.
Okay.
Because in my engineering times I did up a few courses that were organized by multiple IITs from India, and the experts there were from Japan, Czechoslovakia, and Czech Republic, if you remember. So this kind of experiences, this kind of perspectives when you get to see, and if this is possible for me being sitting in Nagpur, I don't really think that geographical boundaries are at all lost or a barrier anymore.
Yes, an answer to all those who बोलते हैं कि आपको tier 1 city में जाना ही पड़ेगा, to achieve something. Yes, an answer to them, man.
And second thing, right now I was just hearing about this that IIT Roper has already opened a direct admission thing. So you don't need to go for gate and all stuff anymore.
Exactly.
And this is going to evolve even more further, because the more you look forward, you will realize that since the avenues are so vast, you have to keep the gates open, because none of that one curriculum will be over flooded anymore.
True.
The real reason we had all these GATE, JEE was because there were 2,000 seats and applicants were 2 lakh.
Understood.
So how to choose those
2,000? How to filter the whole scenario.
So that was the whole purpose behind having entrance exams, because that was the gatekeeping logic for you. For an institute.
Bring us to another question of entrance exams itself. How relevant do you think they are? मैं as an individual, रुशाद क्या कर रहा है यार?
ऑडियो
पूरा हाँ.
क्वेश्चन आप शुरू करते हैं एंट्रेंस एग्जाम वाला.
एंट्रेंस एग्जाम पे आपके क्या व्यूज है? मैं खुद एज एन इंडिविजुअल मैंने कॉमन लॉ एडमिशन टेस्ट लिखा, wrote it in 2019 with around 60,000 people doing it, applying, writing it. मेरा रैंक, मुझे कुछ कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी रखने में वैसा कुछ पॉइंट लगता नहीं है, मेरा रैंक था 2600.
ओके.
50,000 से 2600 आप देखोगे तो बढ़िया लगेगा यार, कितना मस्त गैप है, कुछ अच्छा ही किया होगा. पर रैंक 1 से 2600 देखोगे तो शायद और खराब लगेगा कि यार इधर भी उतना ही बड़ा गैप है. तो ये डिलेमा मैं आपको पूछना चाहता हूँ यार कि क्या अभी भी एंट्रेंस एग्जाम्स का रेलेवेंस है, क्या ये खत्म होगा, और क्या ये एक अननेसेसरी बर्डन है? जो भी हमने नीट की प्रोसीडिंग्स देखी, जो भी पूजा खेड़कर का IAS वाला इशू हमने देखा, आर दीज प्लेसेस जेन्युइनली द सैंक्टो सैंक्टोरम कि यहाँ कभी गलती नहीं होगी, कि यहाँ भी गलतियां शुरू हो चुकी है?
Unfortunately, just to address that fact, yes, नीट और जो दूसरे एग्जाम्स में जो गलतियां आप बोल रहे हैं, दिस हैज एक्चुअली हैपेंड, एंड ये चीज होना अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा बैरियर, ब्रेकिंग मोमेंट है, because these were the only things we used to trust the most. It was
Absolutely.
like the Bible for education system,
100%.
and now even these are being affected by external factors. But coming back to the questions, and your main question is not about these elements. The main question is,
The
are
relevance.
entrance exams
Exactly.
relevant?
Exactly.
So if you are talking about an entrance exam, what is it?
Yeah, in my opinion, entrance exam is something which will filter students out, जो हम डिस्कस भी कर रहे थे.
I pardon. I beg your pardon, but that's not the case.
Okay.
If you think from the institute's perspective, your answer is absolutely correct, because they want to select seats.
The best out of the best.
But if you think from the perspective of the question paper setter, who's creating those questions, the perspective is far different. Because the question setter is making a question to make sure that particular mark goes to particular person with a particular level of understanding of the concept.
Got it.
No, if you really look at entrance exams, you will figure out it's not like that every question has equal value. Every question is perfectly random. Every question has some, but instead, if you really look at it, every question is crafted in a special way. Some questions are hots, some questions are easy grabs,
easy for everyone to solve,
and some questions are just like, if you have done rigorous training, it will be piece of cake. Otherwise, you will spend some time and will get the answer.
मतलब वही difference लाएंगे rank में.
Exactly. So if you really look at it, you will realize that it's far more of a test of your own abilities and your craft rather than what you are eligible for. Because even I have done the GATE, ठीक है. So let's be honest, मेरे को अभी unfortunately मेरे को number याद नहीं है.
Fortunately याद नहीं है मेरे भाई.
नहीं, unfortunately I would have been very okay with it to share it, but नहीं याद है, अब क्या करूँ. I should have been told earlier, so मैं prepare करके आता कि क्या number है. But again, it was absolutely insignificant, that's why याद नहीं है.
इसलिए आप यहाँ हो. शायद जिसका रैंक सबसे नंबर्स में था वो नहीं है.
So that's actually true by the way.
Again, yeah.
So coming back, मेरे लिए वो एग्जाम देना, I was absolutely unprepared. मैंने गेट का एग्जाम सिर्फ इसलिए दिया ये देखने के लिए कि अगर मैं नींद से उठ के गेट का एग्जाम देने जाता हूँ तो मेरे को क्या चीज आती है क्या नहीं आती है. गेट का एग्जाम कैसे देता है, गेट का एग्जाम क्यों बना है, कैसा बना है. इट वॉज मोर ऑफ एन एक्सपेरिमेंट, क्या टेस्ट होगा मेरा उसमें. Yes. And coming out of that exam, the biggest achievement or sense of achievement that I had was कि मैं मैक्सिमम क्वेश्चंस अटेम्प्ट कर पाया. मेरे लिए एक अचीवमेंट वही थी कि मेरे को क्वेश्चन समझा. पहला लेवल क्रॉस्ड. सेकंड, मेरे 70% के मैं आंसर्स ला पाया, जिसको मैंने टिक भी किया. ऑफ कोर्स नेगेटिव मार्किंग जहां पे थी आई अवॉइडेड. ऑफ कोर्स ये भी चीज आपको सीखने को मिलती है, दैट हाउ टू क्रिएट अ बेस्ट स्ट्रेटजी डिस्पाइट विच एवर सिचुएशन यू आर. अब इवन इफ आई एम अ गाय हु हैज नो आइडिया, आई वुड नेवर यूज द वर्ड डम्ब, आई वुड जस्ट यूज द वर्ड अनअवेयर.
Beautiful, and sincere request for everyone to replace this term, man.
Exactly.
You're not aware, you get aware. You cannot label it as being dumb.
That's last thing you will ever want to do.
And last thing you'll ever be, trust me.
It is just a label. Even if you are being called dumb, just remember it's just a label. You can prove it otherwise in a very short time.
Yeah.
Coming back, so that whole exam and the way to put forward is, even if I was not aware about the concepts and not aware about the fundamentals, the approach would have still been the same. So the first attempt, if you are really not sure what to do, just give an attempt.
Just understand. इससे एक बहुत मतलब एक disheartening सवाल आपको पूछता हूँ. The concept of taking a drop. यार मेरा तो ड्रॉप ईयर चल रहा है, ड्रॉप लू की नहीं लू, घर पे क्या बोलेंगे, अब मैं एक साल लेट हो गया, ये एक साल में एडजस्ट कहाँ करूँ, अरे ये तो ड्रॉप ही है, हम तो फ्रेशर है. ये ड्रॉप का कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है यार, और क्यों इसको इस तरीके से टॉर्मेंट किया जा रहा है कि जिसने ड्रॉप ले लिया वो तो आइसोलेट कर दो.
उसका सिंपल सा रीजन है दैट सोसाइटी ओनली लुक्स फ्रॉम द एवरेज पर्सपेक्टिव, एंड एवरेज इज फॉर अ ड्रॉप आउट इज लो, दैट and a person who takes a drop doesn't really do well, because now the pressure is reduced.
Societal pressure पढ़ाई से ज्यादा हो जाता है भाई.
Exactly. And coming forward, the concept of drop, उसकी नीड क्या है, कहाँ से आया. अगर उसको सिंपल चीजें देखें तो हमने वो सिर्फ इसलिए लिया था, ठीक है, we know that हम अपना बेस्ट प्रिपेयर नहीं कर पाए,
एक और
देयर वर
चांस
सम
लेंगे।
एक्सेप्शनल चीजें लाइक मे बी कुछ फैमिली में बड़ा कुछ इश्यू हो गया या फिर कुछ ऐसा हो गया एंड यू कैन अफोर्ड टू टेक अ ड्रॉप।
गॉट इट।
तो ये दो फैक्टर से यू कैन टेक अ डिसीजन, अदरवाइज बाकी सारी चीजें सिर्फ नॉइज है। दैट आपको कोचिंग वाले बोल रहे हैं, आपको ये कर रहे हैं। पहली बात तो ऑनेस्टली स्पीकिंग मैं कोचिंग्स पे भरोसा ज्यादा नहीं
यार
करता हूँ।
कोचिंग अपने आप में इतना क्रेजी
हॉट
शब्द
टॉपिक है,
है
बहुत हॉट
कोचिंग।
टॉपिक है वो।
कोचिंग जैसे ही मैं सुनता हूँ मेरे दिमाग में बिलियनर पता नहीं क्यों आता है।
उसका सिंपल से रीजन है, मैं बताऊँ वो
फिर
क्यों
किसी
आ
ने
रहा है, मैं
एलन बोला
बताऊँ
बार बार।
मैं पता है वो क्यों आ रहा है दिमाग में, बिकॉज
हाँ,
द मोमेंट वी स्पीक अबाउट द वर्ड कोचिंग टुडे वर्सेस 10 or 20 years back,
ट्रू ट्रू ट्रू।
20 years back it used to be just one class, one star teacher who is having a 2-3 people staff
जीतू भैया।
covering 2-3 stacks. Jitu bhaiya. Now coaching has become far more of a institution rather than a class.
यार मतलब कसम से जब बच्चे
Actually
वो
a brand,
एलन,
to be honest. वो बैग,
हर अरे
पेन,
उनकी
एवरीथिंग।
पूरी सेना तैयार है मेरे भाई। एलन की सेना रोज 9 बजे निकलती है और 6 बजे वापस आती है उनकी।
Alan is just an example, by the
एग्जाम्पल,
way.
आई एम सॉरी, आई विश आई कुड बी डायरेक्ट। ठीक है, ये बच्चे यूनिफॉर्म में बैग लेके सामान लेके चले जा रहे हैं, भले वो कोई भी इंस्टीट्यूशन हो। बट जो ग्रेविटी हो चुकी है सब्जेक्ट की यार, कि आप टी शर्ट हमारा पहनोगे, बैग हमारी पहनोगे, बच्चे मतलब फॉर एग्जाम्पल बच्चा लीज पे जा चुका है, तीन
Cancel
साल
that.
की लीज पे जा चुका है बच्चा। अब
क्या
आप
कह
पूरे
रहा
हमारे हो, रैंक बढ़िया आया तो माला, नहीं तो प्रणाम।
This is actually the biggest gamble of education side, that the exams are a gamble. निकला तो कॉलेज, नहीं तो फिर नेक्स्ट अटेम्प्ट। कोचिंग्स आर अ काइंड ऑफ गैम्बल, बिकॉज
एग्जैक्टली।
अगर निकला तो ठीक, नहीं तो फिर 1 साल की और फी, 2 साल की और फी। एंड उसमें भी आपको सूट किया नहीं किया, आपने सारी क्लासेस अटेंड
करी
की
नहीं
नहीं
करी।
की, आपको वो टीचर का, क्योंकि टीचर का भी कंपैटिबिलिटी होता है, राइट? एंड यू
और
कैन नॉट अश्योर दैट यू विल गेट द मोस्ट कंपैटिबल टीचर एज पर यू।
एंड मोर इम्पोर्टेंटली ये कोचिंग्स की अपनी एंट्रेंस एग्जाम, मतलब मैं तो समझ नहीं पा रहा हूँ पर्पस क्या है पर्टिकुलर चीज का। एक एंट्रेंस एग्जाम देने के लिए आपको उस जगह पे जाना है जिस जगह पे जाने के लिए आपको एंट्रेंस एग्जाम देनी है।
सो बेसिकली इफ वी रियली लुक एट इट, हर जगह, अब this might be a bit of a very rude way to put it, but if the only way to understand this is if you think of these as businesses.
एब्सोल्युटली।
So when we talk about colleges, colleges का अगर business element देखें तो उनका ROI कब निकलता है, जब उनके पढ़े हुए बच्चे कुछ अच्छे
बन जाते हैं,
placements लाते हैं।
एब्सोल्युटली।
This is very true
एंड वेरी डायरेक्ट
fundamental,
आल्सो।
very fundamental thing. It's inevitable.
ट्रू।
It's the elephant in the room that no one is
नो
talking
वन इज,
about.
सबको एक वेलफेयर पर्सपेक्टिव से देखना है, और शायद
ऐसा
वहीं
नहीं
पे हम
चलता।
गलत हो जाते हैं।
Exactly.
हाँ,
We have to understand that
ये बहुत सही बात आपने
we are in
बोली।
the capitalist economies. Again, capitalist communism is a hand-to-hand thing in India. Capitalism is more prominent in America. Communism is more prominent in Russia. So there can be some vividness to it, but at the same time, if the moment capitalism comes up, it has to be run by money.
ट्रू
So we cannot evade the fact that education system doesn't needs money. It needs
ट्रू
money. Just like any other organization or a group, they need some certain
टू रन
functions to run.
देमसेल्व्स।
Exactly. So in that regards, they have to make money, and to make money, they need to have the best outputs. And in the same regards, if we go around, then we have to have a cycle or a model in place that makes money.
और यार मुझे भी ऐसा लगता है ना कि अब जब हर चीज इतनी टेंजिबल और मटेरियलिस्टिक हो चुकी है, तो वेलफेयर पर्सपेक्टिव से सोच के खुद ही इस बात को लेके बुरा मानना में कोई
ये भी
पॉइंट
गलत
नहीं
है।
रखा। वो लोग अपने तरीके से बिजनेस कर रहे हैं, बस
देखिए,
क्योंकि वो
at the
एजुकेशन
same
है,
time,
हॉस्पिटल है। और हॉस्पिटल एक एग्जांपल अगर हम ले ले, अरे अब उतने बड़े हॉस्पिटल में बेड नहीं मिलेगा, शेयरिंग बेड, डिलक्स रूम। एक होटल में कभी शायद इतनी वैरायटी ना हो जितनी हॉस्पिटल में मिल जाए, सुपर डिलक्स सिंगल विद टीवी विदाउट एसी। बट अब शायद समय आ गई कि हमारा पर्सपेक्टिव बदले, कि ये सब नॉर्मलाइज करके ही हमें इन्हें एक्सेप्ट करना पड़ेगा।
but at the same time, if you look at it from a different perspective, again, I have I have a very good friend who is currently writing a book, People, Perspectives, and Perception,
वो
and that's Sneha Tawri, by the way. You already know.
cheers
Cheers,
and all the
Sneha.
best.
Looking forward to the book.
Absolutely.
So coming back, if you really change the perspective and think from a different side, you are in a tier 2 city like Nagpur, and you have to offer the high class amenities, but to the audience who might not be able to catch up with the prices.
or accept the same or embrace the same, if I may say so.
Exactly. the fact that we have an option is itself is a huge leap already.
True.
Because otherwise, if you
Wow.
okay, so the fact we have an option
Mhm.
is itself a huge leap from the history that we have been through.
True.
And because it is affordable compared to the fact that it was absolutely not affordable before.
Before.
If you want to go for a hospital room, it has to be a general ward. Eitherly there is a deluxe room with so much
और
amenities.
कहीं ना कहीं वो जनरल वार्ड की हालत भी इतनी खराब थी, तभी तो रूम्स आए.
एग्जैक्टली आज इसका एक सिंपल सा एग्जांपल है. एक टाइम था when by default you think about train, you think about sleeper coach.
Absolutely.
Because that was the one notch above.
And you don't think about ticket also in some cases. अरे चढ़ जाएंगे.
That's right now the situation, not before. Before, if we talk about way back 10-15 years, then it was the general ward, general box, which used to be like no ticket.
Second sitting general dabba.
Exactly. Sitting wala jo tha, that was not a good idea. But just to get out of it and family space, jo hum bolte hain, safe area, that was sleeper coach. Now it has become third AC. So you see how
The
shift
society
is
changing.
happening.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And it's part of it is population, part of it is the average income levels. It is inevitable. If there is more population, there has to be more people, and the wards
True.
will fill faster.
True.
And if the you can say the income levels are not keeping up the pace, then third AC is bound to become the standard rather than sleeper.
Absolutely.
Because sleeper even sleeper will always also be filled by the same people. So
True.
the mentality differences, the habits,
The culture,
and no, all the culture groups cannot coexist.
Exactly.
To be honest,
ये श्रेणी होने का उद्देश्य ही ये है कि हर कोई समान नहीं हो सकता.
when we talk about upper lower, this is also a kind of discrimination. But that's just one way to segregate and understand, to accept what it is.
Okay.
Because if somebody's habits are not good, you would
Acceptable
say,
or
acceptable
अपने लिए
or
not good.
hygienic.
Exactly.
The word is hygienic. We cannot blame them. We have to find our own way out.
True.
And the own way out was just find the same cultural people and have them put into one bucket. Rather than calling it
Exactly.
upper lower, you can just call them buckets
Third
and you will
AC.
understand.
Exactly.
If it works for you, if it works for the other one, you guys can come together. If it doesn't work, coexist. But for somebody for whom it is absolutely unacceptable, they cannot coexist. So they have to put into a separate bucket. That's all.
का सबका ये पर्सपेक्टिव होता.
इतना ओपन होता तो प्रॉब्लम से क्या होती.
क्यों हम इतना स्ट्राइव करते इक्वालिटी के लिए, क्यों हम इतना स्ट्राइव करते, हमें भी वो अधिकार दो, या फिर हमें इतना हेड स्टार्ट दो.
The interesting thing is that when we talk about equality, rights and quotas, it's a very great question that are we really doing it right?
And are we serving the purpose? Let's not beat around the bush here. Let's bring in reservations. कोई भी दो इंडियंस अगर बात कर रहे हैं, तीन चीजें आना अनिवार्य है. बॉलीवुड, पॉलिटिक्स और क्रिकेट. अब हम पॉलिटिक्स को समझते हैं, रिजर्वेशंस को समझते हैं.
The interesting thing is that I always avoid politics, but here we are.
इसलिए मेरा लाइफ पकड़ा है. What do you think of this whole concept? I'll just give you some context before you answer. ये चीज तब आई जब पॉपुलेशन इतनी नहीं थी. ये चीज तब आई जब इसे सिर्फ 10 साल के लिए लाया गया था. ये चीज
I know where you are going.
ये चीज तब आई जब असमानता दिखती थी. अब की बात करता हूँ. असमानता अब भी है. असमानता अब भी दिखती है. कुछ बोलेंगे ये चीज जरूरी है, कुछ बोलेंगे ये चीज जरूरी नहीं है. बट इन योर ओपिनियन,
जस्ट वेट, ये मेरा फोन बज रहा है. बंद हो गया.
साइलेंट ही कर देगा.
बाहर ले लो और उसको साइलेंट कर लेना.
वो आईफोन ही है तो वो भी जाएगा. मस्त है भाई, पर बिना टेक कट के चले जा रहे हैं. वो भी है, 15 मिनट में निपटा देंगे.
रिजर्वेशन में वापस आते हैं 2 मिनट के में.
मेरी आवाज आती है तो रिपीट किए थे क्या?
कर रहे थे, और अंदर से इतनी आ रही, तुम लोग सालों गेट नहीं बंद कर रहे. मम्मी पापा भी नहीं समझ रहे, सब चल रहा. मम्मी तभी बोल रही माइक्रोवेव चलाती हूँ, 4 ग्लास उठा के वहां रखती हूँ. अबे तू ही कर देता ना साले. ये हमारा मस्त,
ये मस्त बीटीएम
बड़ा सभी को.
स्टार्टिंग में से तो छोटे क्लिप्स में डाल दूंगा लास्ट में.
तो हाँ,
ये ऑडियो कट करके डालना.
वो एलन घबरा गया था.
ऑनेस्टली मैंने जितनी चीजें लाइफ में अवॉइड की होंगी ना कि ये टॉपिक्स मेरे को डिस्कस नहीं करने हैं, सारे लेकर आ रहा है।
तो यार वापस आते हैं, लेट्स सर्कल बैक टू अस टॉकिंग अबाउट रिजर्वेशंस.
हाँ, तू बार बार भूल जा रहा है कि माइक उधर नहीं इधर.
यार मैं अपना पर्सपेक्टिव आपको बताता हूँ इस कॉन्सेप्ट.
पहले क्वेश्चन पे
पे आता है, तो रिजर्वेशंस का क्या पर्पस सॉल्व हो रहा
एक
है?
सेकंड, तू पूरा सेंटेंस, लेट्स टॉक अबाउट रिजर्वेशंस पूरा सेंटेंस लाना, स्किप क्यों कर रहा है, वो कट करना है.
समझ गया. So let's circle back to the very genesis of our conversation. You know, from where we can actually find answers to different questions. जो हमने पूरे इसमें डिस्कस किए, be it education, be it different streams, be it competitive examinations.
ठीक है.
I guess आपको समझ रहा है मैं आपको कहाँ लेके आ रहा हूँ, इसलिए मैंने आपको पहले बताया नहीं. Let's circle back to reservations, आरक्षण. Is reservation actually serving the purpose which it should? First, when it was only brought for 10 years, it has been 70 years since we've been independent. Are we actually following the model or the logic, from where it was brought? Second. Third, just an example. X person gets an admission into a beautiful college. For that, he has reservations, which is rightfully his or her. But after that, when that person has to study in the same college further, has to pass different years to actually become a graduate, he fails. The reason why we have so much of dropouts every year. So in your opinion, is this scheme working, or is this mere vote bank politics?
Okay. First of all, coming to the second option that you gave me, that's the vote bank politics one thing. Let's accept that elephant in the room again. It's one of the major contributing factors that because you do it, you get a lot of votes.
Absolutely.
Because whenever there is a scheme we talk about, whenever even if Arakshan we are talking about, this is something that will benefit one side and will cost the other side.
Exactly.
And when we are talking about the who is getting benefited, you don't see the from the perspective of impact if you are a politician who wants to win.
True. Your impact is only till your results.
You don't. You will only care about the votes.
True.
And if that suits your purpose, logic is not even required. So that's the problem there. That's the flaw in the decision making there. It has to be taken by from some people who are actually thinking about the long run journey rather than the short term wins. And the second thing that we are talking about, the impact of it, is it really working? First of all, your question is a little bit unprepared, I would say. I'm sorry if that hurts.
No, not at all.
Because
sorry, अब सबने सुन लिया. Yeah.
So because you spoke about the Arakshan that you spoke about was actually very specific to particular audience, like being in Maharashtra. You said about 10 years. That is one of the many Arakshan reservations that we have. And it's maybe not even eminent beyond Maharashtra to say. There are so many other ones, and many of them are actually relevant as well. The whole point behind reservation was to give equal chance to every community. Since we are a country with a democratic republic, and we need to make sure that all of our different communities,
stakeholders get equal opportunities.
They get the same. Basically, everybody gets the same India.
Got it. Wow. Crazy. Yeah.
So in that perspective, if you see, yes, for 10, 15 years, 20 years even, it was fine. Fair enough. 20 years is a good span for every community to catch up.
True.
But if you are talking about how it is right now, so let me put this into perspective. I have a very own personal example. My mother did BA, MA, and then net set exams.
Okay.
And she scored a very decent number, yet she failed by 2 marks. And at the same score, there was some other guy into the Arakshan side who was their topper. And she attempted twice or thrice, I guess. The only thing that was increased was not her chances of cracking it, but the number of her glasses.
On a lighter note, This is so heartbreaking, man, for everyone.
Honestly speaking, it is. But if you really look at the system from what it is, as it is, without the expectations of it being just, rather than it being thoughtful for everybody, if you just look at the system as it is, then your approach differs far lot,
Okay,
because you are not expecting the system to support you.
exactly,
The
exactly.
whole point of this
मतलब
discussion,
वर्सेस हो जा रहा है, कंपटीशन हो
exactly,
जा रहा
you cannot. There is a saying in some book I read that you cannot despise wealth and acquire it. Similarly, you cannot despise the system and become a part of it.
है. Wow, very true.
So, the first of all, if you really want to make some impact, first understand where is the ground, where is the earth. Touch
True.
the grass, we say it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because everybody has their own expectations. Then they give it a shot. They realize the reality, and because they don't match, they have a delusion.
And that delusion is their complaint. Why is it
The
so?
rant.
The rant or the rank?
You're playing again. So coming back to the main thing, it's far more of a sensible way to realize what it is, then take a step and a plan. Because the main mistake we do is that we already do not have the answer to why we are doing it.
True.
The only reason we are doing it because
चले जा रहा है, चले जा रहा है.
इसमें पैसा बहुत है. Worst way to think about things.
And you'll never end up in money after that.
Absolutely.
You'll be so frustrated, irritated that you won't have anyone to complain to also.
Because you never checked what's inside.
यार, और आप जिनको कंप्लेन करने जाओगे वो तो यही बोलेंगे, यार तो फिर कुछ और कर लेगा. फिर आप बोलोगे नहीं आपने बोला था करने, फिर बोलेंगे तो क्या तूने तब क्यों नहीं बोला मुझे ये नहीं करना, हम तो खुशी खुशी करने देते हैं.
देखो एक जिंदगी है, अनफॉर्चुनेटली फॉर्चुनेटली 80 से अब हम ऑलरेडी 70-65 साल पे
आ चुके हैं, और जब तक हम जाएंगे तब तो मुझे 50-55
ही दिख
मुश्किल
रहा है
लग
मेरे
रहा
को
है.
भी. लोगों को 24-25 पे मिड लाइफ क्राइसिस
आ
हो
रहा
रहा है,
है.
तो 50-55 नहीं
जो
होता है.
हेल्थ डिटोरिएट हो रही है यार, जिम में आपको हार्ट अटैक आ रहा है, वॉक करके हार्ट अटैक आ रहा है, 23 साल 24 साल 25 साल, सांस लेने में आदमी शायद 2 बार
बीपी हो
सोचता
रहा
है.
है, शुगर हो रहा है इस एज में. सरप्राइजिंग.
कहा अपने ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स 100 तक बिल्कुल तेंदुलकर समान टिके थे, और कहा हम.
Those were the one who were able to sustain into physical extremes till their age of 45-50s.
Exactly. Extremes, very
Extremes.
correct word. 20s की उम्र उनकी 50 तक चली, घर में बताओ.
आज का 20s उस टाइम का 50 था.
और उल्टा उल्टा मैं अब शायद समझ चुके होंगे, बोलना नहीं चाहूंगा, पर हाँ. तो हाँ यार, when we circle back again to this question, I believe there is no definite answer to this, and there will never be.
These are questions that are not one perspective.
These are questions not to be answered but to be discussed.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
For your safety also.
Again, also, if you're really talking about the answers to it, it's far more of a way that it actually creates a need for something else to complement. So,
True.
if those who are Byju's did that.
Exactly.
That's why it was here, right? They found the opportunity, a place that nobody could fill in, and they jumped in. Maybe things have changed now. It was COVID. After COVID, they were not able to manage.
They never saw the Marina Trench before actually, going into the.
But the fact that they identified the opportunity is something to learn.
Absolutely. They identified the gap. जितने गैप आप फिल करोगे, उतनी अपॉर्चुनिटी आप खुद के लिए क्रिएट करोगे.
Absolutely. I saw this somewhere. I don't remember the source right now. There was 3 ways to do achieve something great in life. One, complement the existing solutions. Second, find the gap and solve it.
Third, I guess I know.
With what it
Donald Trump, make America great again.
Ah, come on. Not the option really.
The option just got short.
The third is contribute to the first two.
Oh.
So for those who say that we do not have an opportunity to do something, I think you are not reading the third option.
True.
Because even I am not somebody who had a lot of connections
avenues or
and networks,
exactly,
and a very good healthy entrance entrance platform to get started with. Kickstart तो दूर की बात है.
Bootstart भी नहीं हो रहा था.
Bootstart भी नहीं हो रहा था. So if you really look at it, the only way is to tap into the right areas, make your luck do the hard work.
Wow, if I could, if I could be as dashing to say this as he is right now, make your luck do your hard work. क्योंकि when there's a very popular saying, ना यार, when talent fails to work hard.
That's actually let me correct that.
Absolutely.
It's actually, the word is that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
वेरी ट्रू. नो, बहुत आसान है किस्मत पे ब्लेम करना, पर बहुत मुश्किल है ये बोलना कि अच्छा मेरी किस्मत अच्छी थी.
Correct.
ये किस्मत अच्छी बनाने के लिए आप वहां तक पहुंचे जब आप ये बोल पाए.
The surprising thing is that right now we are already talking about manifestation and all stuff. The surprising thing is that if you really look at Indian culture, we already used to say Saraswati मुंह पे रहती है, गलत नहीं बोलते.
कभी नहीं.
Isn't that manifestation?
Exactly. Our basis is what we are finding in English proverb now.
Exactly.
Is what I think. हमारे roots ही वो है जो अब हम नए लैंग्वेज में एक्सेप्ट करना चाह रहे हैं.
Since this has already come up, I would like to mention this here, that if you really look at all of the religious texts,
okay,
you will find out the same pattern.
True.
And since I'm Sardar Singh Sikh, so I'm a follower of Guru Granth Sahib Ji.
Sikhna.
Sikhna. The whole word Sikh is coming from the Sanskrit derived of Sikh, which is just direct meaning of learner.
People, I want you to take great note of this. मैं आपको आंखों में आंखें डाल के चीज बोल रहा हूँ, आपको ये चीज नहीं पता थी कि सिख शब्द जो है, सिख समुदाय जो है, वो शब्द डिराइव हुआ है सीखने से.
The exciting thing is that the followers are called Sikh because the followers are the whole community started
which is
from
learning.
Yes, and the whole community started from Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the first Sikh Guru, and back then there was not this form.
Okay.
It was just Guru Nanak Dev Ji and his followers, and all of them are called Sikh.
क्योंकि वो सीख रहे हैं.
सीख रहे हैं because they are learning. It was absolutely nothing biased, and most of the followers they were from different religions altogether.
Absolutely.
And the only purpose of having a separate community was because there was no one around to actually clarify the concepts, clarify the doubts. Because whenever there is no clarity or a basis of truth, it is very easy to twist facts.
The only time you can twist facts is this, when there is no clarity, and when you have clarity,
nothing can be done. It is what it is.
फैक्ट और ओपिनियन का यही तो फर्क है. जहां कंफ्यूजन वहां ओपिनियन, जहां फैक्ट वहां स्टेटमेंट.
And the surprising thing is that's exactly the reason why we have the current guru as in the form of a book.
Wow.
Because at the time of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, there were so many tyrannies that already happened. The past 3 gurus have almost been martyred in some or the other way.
True.
So it was very eminent that being into the human form is a way to is possible to be eliminated, since it is human form.
Exactly.
So that's why the next guru was
a book.
Yes, it was established in a form of a book, and then announced that Guru Manyo Granth. Now accept the book as your guru and treat him as a guru. So the complete respect, the complete treatment, the complete acceptance that we had and the trust and faith we had on a guru comes to the book. So there is no questions.
And more than that, this can never be replaced. और कोई और मतलब इस चीज का नहीं निकल सकता. बस. Which finally, Anmol, brings me to my last question.
Yes.
What is Learner's Den? Why is Learner's Den? And what purpose or what aim do you have with this organization? Which is अगर आपने नहीं देखा है अभी जाओ और देखो. And I mean it, अभी देखो. इसको व्यू मत दो, शेयर मत करो, लाइक मत करो. That is a different part.
Please
but
कर देना.
go and see Learner's Den. You'll learn a thing or two, or might be a 3.
So first of all, for you to check it out, I would have to first set up and brief it in a way on internet so that you can explore.
Absolutely.
It's in the process, and it's basically a community. Since I already said I've been into communities since last 3-4 years. And the biggest loophole that I found out is that every community is backed by a particular corporate.
Got it.
Or maybe an organization. Or maybe from a common interest group.
Or a narrative.
Or a narrative. So the narratives ones is actually like after a while they realize that it's a narrative and okay, there is a world beyond this now.
True.
So that's where the cycle keeps going on. People enter, understand, and go away. And since there is always population, there is always the cycle repeating. Coming forward to the next one, the corporate ones. It's actually more sensible because corporate ones are actually made for the purpose of making the product out.
Okay.
And making it more easy for people to adapt and use.
Got it.
So if we talk about a particular tech piece of tech, we have different companies around different products, so that anybody who is using that product have somebody to reach out to while figuring
In
out
order to
how to use
understand the
it.
product.
If they are
Got it.
stuck,
Got it.
we talk about communities, right? Even Stack Overflow is a community. Even Java has its own community. Linux has its own community. Why we have community? So that whenever we touch or work in that particular piece of tech, we know whom to reach out if we need help.
वो bridge बना है.
Exactly, the ecosystem that self-sustains.
True.
In just for adding to the concept of community, what communities is. How I'm not sure how many of you know this, but there is a Linux distro called as Ubuntu.
Okay, Ubuntu.
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 U-B-U-N-T-U.
I've heard it. Yeah.
And the whole word meaning has the beauty of community in it.
Oh, is it?
Ubuntu is actually probably a Hawaiian word. I'm not sure, but it's some foreign word, which literally means I am because we are.
I am because we are. This is our thumbnail. Crazy, man. Crazy.
So that's the concept of community I saw in tech, and that was my definition till date for a community. I am because we are. And on the similar grounds, just adopting a lot of methodologies and how structures happen inside Sikhi and the Khalsa for the self-sustenance model, and using to make it generic enough to be applicable around the developer communities and ecosystems, so that it doesn't has the religion bias to it. So I created this community called Learners Den, under which I am currently having people who are contributing. They are not volunteers, they are buddies.
एक नाम कितना बड़ा काम करता.
Because now they are on the same level. If it was a volunteer, I would have been a lead, they would have been a volunteer.
Hierarchy हो जाती. जहाँ hierarchy आएगी वहाँ तर्क वितर्क कभी नहीं आ पाएगा.
Exactly.
क्योंकि कोई किसी को question नहीं कर पाएगा.
And right now things are actually evolving. I see those the buddies actually bringing ideas and doing actions, sometimes even without taking my approval, which is I'm actually happy to see.
Obviously.
Because approvals is the last thing I would love to see. Because why would I want the whole community to depend on one person
and
to
one
just say yes
decision?
or no?
Wow.
Because first of all, I would have to spend so much intellectual effort, and even then I might miss the fact that maybe this might not help a few people.
True. Absolutely.
If the community somehow itself represents, discusses and gets the answers, nothing like it.
जितना चीजें ऑटोमेट होगी और अपने आप चलेगी उतना बेहतर काम करेगी.
और यहाँ पे तो ऑटोमेट भी नहीं, ऑटोनॉमस बनाना चाहता हूँ. So that is one goal, and they have already started Linktree on their own. The current meetups, you already know that we have a coming meetup by the way.
I'm a part of Learners Den. ये इसका उद्देश्य ये बताने का ये नहीं है कि मैं इसलिए इसको कन्वर्सेशन में लाया हूँ, बट ये है कि आप जानो Learners Den किस तरीके से लोगों को सपोर्ट कर रहा है, और मैं उसका एक उदाहरण.
And by the way, if you join Learners Den, it's not about being a member. You directly are taken or understood or identified as a learner,
as a stakeholder.
Absolutely.
You will have responsibilities, you will get exposure. ये कोई ब्रांडिंग नहीं कर रहे हैं. हमें कोई मतलब भी नहीं होगा 100-200 लोगों को ब्रांड करके जो इस वीडियो को देख रहे हैं. हम आपको कुछ ऐसा बता रहे हैं जो शायद आपके लिए कैटालिटिक बूस्ट हो. क्यों हो? क्योंकि वो हमारे लिए था और है.
If I would really say that I would have not met people in the community, it's far little of a thick chance that I would say that I would really been sitting here.
True, very true.
Forget about having this conversation or having the intellect or understanding
to
or
participate.
Even the ability to have this conversation.
Absolutely.
So there has been so many people. There are so many names I can bring up. There is Taranjot Singh. There is Vrijraj Singh. He's a GDE, Google Developer Expert. Great guy. And there are so many names from the local community as well.
Mr. Singh, you are next.
He's in Delhi, I guess. Right
is
now.
It? Okay.
Then we have Abhishek Deshpande, we have Nikita Savarkar, we have Shantanu, we have so many people in the city itself. We have Praful Deshmukh, if I'm not wrong. Deshpande?
जो ये सोच रहे थे कि नागपुर में कुछ नहीं हो रहा है.
Many people.
सब हो रहा है, बस आपको नहीं पता है.
The only reason people are not getting out. Biggest pain for us, because it takes so much effort to find people who want to do something and are ready to give it a shot.
Absolutely.
And just we are making our own shot by organizing meetups every now and then, hoping that we will find the right crowd.
And I'm sure you will. With this, Anmol, we've come to an end of this discussion.
Or I would say अल्प विराम because it's never the end.
यार ना ही ये पॉडकास्ट है ना ही ये इंटरव्यू है, ये बस एक दोस्त की दूसरे दोस्त से चर्चा है, और शायद इन्हीं कुछ बातों में, इन्हीं सवालों में, इन्हीं जवाबों में आपको अपना परिचय मिले, और
Who
वही
knows, we
उद्देश्य है।
find the next you.
एब्सोल्युटली, यही उद्देश्य है इस पूरी कॉन्वर्सेशन का। इसी के साथ अनमोल इसको हम अंत करते हैं,
बिल्कुल।
वापस आएंगे। आपके पास शो का कोई नाम है नहीं?
शायद नाम ही रख लेते हैं। नाम में क्या रखा है?
नाम में क्या रखा है, बिल्कुल, नाम में क्या रखा है। फिर मिलेंगे, सोचते रहिए, इंक्विजिटिव रहिए,
सीखते रहिए,
सीखते रहिए, क्योंकि सीखना
जरूरी है।
जरूरी है। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा,
वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह।
एक नंबर भाई, क्रेजी।
ए भाई,
कोई बात नहीं भाई, कॉन्वर्सेशन ही ऐसी थी, 2 रात